Welcome on in. Trust the Process Live. Josh Safran in the hosting chair. Today, Maximilian Coolish on your bottom here. Digits, what's happening, man? Any updates? Anything going on?
No, man. I'm enjoying the summer. I've been enjoying the weather, trying to get out and about, and just enjoy life. It's been good weather. It's cliche to say, but like it's been a great time to be outside. Like there's always some part of the summer that just rains a lot, and I don't think we're there yet. I'm enjoying it while it's rolling.
We're right in front of the dog days. Like, this is the enjoyable part of the summer where you forget how miserable it gets right in the middle, and you're like, man, I wish it was like this all year. And then you run into July, and after the 4th, the sun starts beating. Makai Strong. Makai, your last name, we're big on nicknames here. You got a name built for nicknames. So I'll go to the workshop over the week and I'll come up with something the next week. But regardless, Makai, how you been doing?
I've been doing pretty good. Trying to find a job, still shopping for a car. But we gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Man, what are we looking for? What kind of cars?
I'm looking at some type of Honda. I'm hoping for a Honda Civic, but if not, I'll take what I can get.
Nice.
That is the motto. I got a 2006 Honda CR-V with all the paint pretty much chipped off of that thing, and I love it. Just give me a vehicle to get to point A to point B. You'll love it. Honda Civic, that seems like an industry standard. First car, get it for all. You take all the cash in your wallet and say, "Hey, give me a vehicle." But regardless, you should be taking all the cash in your wallet and be betting on the Philadelphia Phillies in the month of June. Makai, maybe that would have been a way to get that Honda Civic, just hitting to the Phillies money line every damn night. Except, how does this happen?
If I was old enough,
way of doing this where they'll go red hot.
You just keep losing, you Josh.
Yeah, Josh's internet is giving us some trouble tonight. It seems.
Yeah.
At least he doesn't have a stupid face frozen. We'll give him a second. At least we know what to talk about. He doesn't have all the secrets.
Regardless, don't FanDuel be listening. Are we good? We settled?
We can hear you. There we go.
There you go.
All right. I'm the only person in my apartment. There's no reason it should be working this way.
Oh man!
Up there he goes.
Oh my gosh, he's getting killed. He's getting absolutely destroyed.
You're back.
All right, we see you.
I'm back.
We see you.
Yeah. Good lord. What a way to start with a bang. Whatever. We're moving on. We're talking about the freaking Phillies. I'm mad. Gents, here we go. We're getting right into it here. And actually, no, my mistake. I jumped the gun with that one. We got to get into it because the Phillies have this thing that they like to do where they start out real hot. They keep getting real hot. Then it's time for us to do a show. They lose. That's not what we want to talk about, though. We want to talk about the good and a little bit of the bad. It was official since our last show. Topper has made the decision that the Phillies will be going closer by committee. No more Corey Knebel in that closing role. I know we've been clamoring for it. But my question now, and I'm not sure what my answer is, Digits, I'm going to come to you. Give me some insight here. Is the closer currently on this Phillies roster? Now, a lot of people want Sir Anthony. It seems like Topper's been going with Brad Hand.
I'm one of them.
Digits. Who is your – so who – go, expound.
You know me. You know I hate closer by committee. It's like quarterback. You need one guy. You need one guy to prepare for it. I hate closer by committee. I think it's Sir Anthony. I think that he has shown the mental resiliency needed when he's called upon in late game. And I think he has maybe not as good as stuff when it's working at its best like Knebel does. But Knebel has not been great mentally. Knebel has shown the propensity to overthink things and kind of let I don't want to say let the game slip away. It's not always just his fault, but it seems like he's a little jittery when he comes in later innings. The tighter the situation, it seems like he gets a little bit more jittery. I think Knebel as your bridge man into Sir Anthony could give you a killer 8-9 punch. I think that at this point, I think that's what I would really like to see. I do think Knebel's probably one of the more skilled pitchers on the roster, but there is definitely just something about his mental. Like when he comes in and they're up a couple of runs, like I never really have any worry or doubt about him getting through an inning relatively cleanly. But when he's brought in for save situations, it feels different. It feels like he misses his spots by just, by a little bit, balls that are supposed to be strikes on the corner or a little outside or something to that effect. And that kind of stuff just adds up. It feels like, I don't want to say he has the yips, but it feels like the less pressure on him, the better he performs. So I personally would like to see an Evil, if he's going to be your 8-inning guy or whatever, just have him be one of your top bullpen rotation guys. I think Sir Anthony Dominguez should be the Phillies closer, at least until he shows he can't handle it.
Oh, yeah, I am loving what you're saying, especially what you said about Knebel right there. I mean, like, he just looks a little lost. He looks a little scared out there. Even it felt like every game in that stretch, even when he got those saves, he's going to walk 2 guys. He's going to make you sweat. He just didn't look like he could handle it. So, Makai, let me hear what you got to say about this one. Me and Makai were talking a little bit pre-show here, and you were telling me how you feel like you're learning the game of baseball still, watching the Phillies day in and day out. So, Makai, real quick, do you get that sense, right, where like the closer is such a different role than like any other part of the team? There's kind of like an X factor that's not just about pitching, if you know what I'm talking about. So, what are you thinking here about the Phillies closer, and is he already on the roster?
I'm gonna say yeah, he's already on the roster. I'm gonna have to agree with Max. It's definitely Sir Anthony. Every game I've seen, I've been to, it's always been Sir Anthony. He's always closed out the games. And whenever it looks like he's not the closer, it's just rough. It gets real rough for the Phillies. So I'm thinking that yeah, he's on the roster. It's Sir Anthony. He's definitely the closer for the Phillies.
All right, so we got two Sir Anthony Dominguez for closer votes here, and I do like it. And I do think Sir Anthony Dominguez can be a closer for the Phillies. However, when I do say that, and I love Sir Anthony, I think he's a fantastic pitcher. I think maybe Sir Anthony might be better as that fireman type role. He actually got that nickname his first year here, but when he blew his arm out, because they just put him in if there's guys on bases, and he'll put out the fire. I'm a little bit concerned about Sir Anthony's control. I think Sir Anthony can be your closer of the future. I'm just not sure if he can be your closer right now. You know what I'm saying, fellas? Because I think there might be a reason why he hasn't been trusted with it. How about this? How about this for a suggestion? And this has a few more musical chairs here. But, gents, I think we're forgetting very quickly, Max and Makai. Can you tell me who the most successful closer for the Phillies was last season?
No.
Not at all.
It feels like they didn't have any. Oh, right. He's not been great as a starter, Josh. I know you've been wanting it to happen.
I know. So, Max, I've been giving this a lot of thought. And I know I do want to get into trades a little bit later. Here's the bottom line right now, gents. I think Sir Anthony is a good answer at closer, but I would mull over the idea of sending Ranger back over to the closing spot. And not that he's been abysmal as a starter, but just the way he looked so unfazed, because that's what I'm talking about with the closer. Max, you kept talking about with Knebel. You have to be sort of a freak, you know what I mean, to be a closer. It's a very cerebral job. And Ranger, to me, kind of fits that bill where he's a robot. He doesn't show a lot of emotion. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too down. I would like to see Ranger get another opportunity at closer. However, if you're going to put Ranger at closer, you're going to have to get someone to replace him at starter, and that is the
that's what I was just going to say.
That whole, circumstance.
That's definitely a lot of dominoes to deal with.
Exactly. So I do agree with the two of you gentlemen with Sir Anthony. I may not be as gung-ho as I was earlier in the year because I just get this feeling that he might not be ready. He might not have that mental toughness to take over the closer role. I'd be curious to see Ranger back in the bullpen, but there's a lot of dominoes there. So interesting food for thought there with the closer position. The next thing I wanted to talk about with the Phillies is kind of a similar respect. This time on the offensive side, Matt Vierling apparently is a second baseman. Matt Vierling's apparently a third baseman. Hell, you can throw Matt Vierling anywhere. By the way, I looked through Matt Vierling's career numbers by position. That dude has played 4 or 5 games pretty much at third base and second base in his minor league career. I really think Rob Thompson was just kind of like, hey, Matt, if you want to stay up, do you mind playing second? And Vierling was kind of just like, I'll play anywhere, coach. Just get me in the line.
I don't want to go back. I
don't blame him.
Yeah, no, I don't blame him. Nothing against Lehigh Valley, not a bad area, but come on, that paycheck sure as hell doesn't hurt either. So, gents, the question I bring to the table, it's been working. It's been working weirdly. Munoz had a couple home runs against the Nats, but Bryce's blister, Segura on the IL. Bottom line is injuries happen. Guys have off days. You're going to need guys like Vierling and Munoz to fill in these spots. But Makai, let me come to you on this one first. What do you think about this youth movement right here in the Phillies? It's working right now, but do you think this is going to be able to sustain? Because the bottom line is Gene Segura is not going to be here in September. Are they going to be able to plug the holes this way all the way till September, do you think?
I mean, if it's working now, I don't think it's going to work like heading towards the postseason. I just think this is a temporary fix at the moment. I feel as though the youth is actually doing better than what they're supposed to be doing. So, I mean, it's just up in the air. It's more towards it's not going to last long. It's just a temporary thing. There's not really much you can say on it.
Yeah. No, it is tough. It's a very small sample size. Digits, what are you feeling? I mean, it is a small sample size, like I just said, but I don't know. I'm feeling a certain way. I wonder if you are too.
I'm definitely liking Vierling. I think he's coming along really nicely. He seems to kind of have the propensity for the timely hits. I know I've kind of been touching about this seemingly every time we talk about the Phillies one way or another. But if you look back over the last month, Vierling has a lot of timely RBIs. I know we talked about that one game in Milwaukee. Obviously, that go-ahead home run in that game was about as clutch as it gets.
Had one this weekend.
Had one this weekend. Like I'm definitely liking Vierling as a player, and he's been getting better. You can see him getting better. He was kind of stuck in the. His batting average still isn't great. It's in the low 200s now, but he was kind of stuck in that like 180 to 200 range batting average, and he kind of broke through that. And I feel like that he's performing at a little bit higher of a level compared to what his batting average shows. I think if you look at like his home runs and his RBIs, you're like, damn, I'm surprised this guy's batting average is so low given his amount of at bats. But Munoz, I don't want to say I'm out on him, but I'm not in on him if that makes sense. I definitely think it's still too early to really tell with him. It definitely helps having guys who can at least be some kind of fill-in level when your stars are dealing with issues. And Bryce and Reese were trying to get rested a little bit this weekend, but they still ended up getting pinch hit. In both games they were respectively sat. So it kind of seems like yesterday was kind of like the reset day. It felt like they didn't really care about yesterday's game. So I'm kind of, I guess I'm not really maybe expecting to see too much of Munoz this week. If I do, and he kills it, that's awesome. Like obviously, the more quality players you have on your roster, the better it is. There's no doubt about that. But I don't necessarily expect to see him as like the answer at third base or anything like that.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right about Munoz. I think for me. And yeah, I think maybe it is a little bit more about Vierling here, but my long way to get to a short answer is I'm buying it, gents. I actually am buying that the Vierling, Munoz, the Stott, the Camargo, the whatever. I think it's enough to fill the holes. And I'll start with the Matt Vierling here, gents. I mean, you don't talk about this in baseball, but is there some dog in Matt Vierling? Is it safe to say? Can I say that I'm dogging Matt Vierling?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe him.
Exactly. I think good teams, and I'm not talking World Series or anything insane, but you need to have a guy. What's that?
I said we're not talking about it yet.
No, that's a great point. We are not talking about it yet, but if we are, you always need a guy like Matt Vierling, who he might not play 7 days out of 7, but he'll play 5 days out of 7, and you're spinning a roulette wheel on what position he's going to play because that's the kind of guy he is. You said timely hits, timely stolen bases. He only has 2 on the season, but I think both are to get in a scoring position in a timely run. Both happened recently, I'm pretty sure. Munoz, look, I'm not gaga over Munoz, but this is a guy who's hitting over 300 in AAA, which is really nothing to sniff at and certainly shows he is capable. So between Camargo, Stott, Munoz, Vierling, I would much rather go with those 4 guys, this kind of question mark of youth over, I don't know, send in a couple prospects for like a Matt Duffy or someone like that on the Angels, some older guy who may be more established, but you're going to pay more, and you're going to have to give something up to get him. I'll take my chances with the guys right now, and especially, yeah, exactly, especially Matt Vierling, who, by the way, hit 324 last year, and it was a weird year. And look, I'm not trying to throw a parade for Matt Vierling hitting over 300 and like barely 100 plate appearances, but still, it's like he has done this before. I don't think this is a flash in the pan. I think Matt Vierling, he has the talent, and he's got a great acting career ahead of him with Carshield. So always great to see Matt Vierling in the starting lineup. So, gents, those two questions are kind of a precursor today for the big question. And it's tough because it might sound a little negative, but it's just kind of me wanting more from this team, right? Because Makai said it earlier to me. What was it, 2 weeks ago? We were debating if they'd be 500 early July. Well, here we are 10 days away from July. They're already 4 games above 500. So it's all right, sweet. They checked that box. But here we're sitting, still out of a playoff spot. It's not by much. But the question I have for you, gents, do you feel like this team needs to make a move to push themselves over the edge? And how I want to quantify this is on this roster, who do you think would be expendable in terms of, like, who do you think would be a good trade piece, both that the Phillies can afford to give up and you could get good value from them? And what position do you think the Phillies would need to get most? So, Digits, coming to you on this one. Big can of worms here. Not necessarily a trade deadline question, but kind of, I'm getting the sense that this team might need to get one more guy to make to be a contender.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a distinct position. I mean, I guess ideally, maybe you could find a center fielder who can hit for average like that. In my mind, like that's the ideal player the Phillies need, is either like an outfielder or a middle infielder who can hit for average and play at the top of the batting order. Like that would be, that'd be huge, just to have a guy that, is going to get on. Like I like Schwarber at leadoff. I don't mind that, but maybe having, someone else to slot somewhere in the top. Like it sounds crazy, but just, having someone who can slide somewhere in, either at 2 or 3 or maybe at 5, like, someone who is a consistent hitter. But I think positionally, you probably want to prioritize second, shortstop, or center field. I know obviously we just talked about Matt Vierling and his versatility, right, but it would be nice to not have to, do the positional shuffle every day or every other day kind of deal, just to kind of accommodate everyone. In terms of who's expendable, I'm not really sure. I feel like I would have to say it would be the people we were just talking about, all the youth, right? Like the guys like Camargo or I mean, it wouldn't be Munoz. He's played like 5 games this season, so no one's going to roll the dice on him. But I would say Camargo or, Vierling. I don't think they would want to give up Vierling, but Vierling would obviously be an interesting prospect if you're looking to make a move for someone who is more established. I don't necessarily want to see them do that. I kind of think that I'm not really sure. It feels like there's not a lot of ways out for the Phillies. Like if you make any major moves, you're going to detract from other places of the team that maybe aren't already so strong. And it's, you can kind of maybe unplug one hole to fill another. So how much better does that really make you ultimately? Not sure. Is it better just to roll the dice and hope that the talent that you're giving chances to develops more throughout the next 2 months here before the season's over, and that gives you into a playoff position?
Yeah, I think you put it really nicely. Plug, like, what did you say? Plug one hole and open another. Like that is kind of exactly where I'm sitting. So Kai, let me come to you. I think I'm with Max here, kind of like apprehensive. Like, look, it would be nice, but I don't think the Phillies have the ammo to kind of make a deal. But Kai, what are your thoughts?
I mean, you can't really everybody on the roster right now is playing up to the standards that they're supposed to be playing up to. So to remove someone from the team is doing more hurt than it is helping the team. And only players that's like really expendable would be the younger players. But besides that, there's like no one really to remove from the team. Everyone's playing good. Everyone's playing how they're supposed to be playing, if not better. But the one position that is needed would be second base. It's the one position that's like truly needed on the team. And they got Matt Vierling playing every position. So I just feel as though that's the only position that's really like heavily needed.
So all right, well you guys are, so I think you guys are hung up on getting like not being able to trade anyone. Would you trade Alec Bohm? Just point blank. Like, I mean, talk about a guy who,
sure, if the deal's right.
A very small sample size. If the deal's right, so So digits, I don't know. It's tough to say right now, like what teams would.
Yeah, I have no idea
Are
about
buyers or
specific
sellers, right?
targets. I was just saying I have no idea about specific targets or yeah, exactly. So it'd be too much to speculate, but I don't know. It's tough. Like it like the team's won what, like 15 of 18 right now. It's like it feels too early to really like why talk trade now, I guess is kind of where I'm coming from ultimately. Like everything's clicking, you're riding the high of the new manager. Maybe things will time out a little bit better, that when you kind of come down off this initial honeymoon phase will be closer to the trade deadline. You can get a better idea of what you actually need and what the actual market is looking like. Maybe things will actually work out nicely in that regard. Oh, he's gone again.
Yeah, and I think.
Okay, he's back.
Bounced out. That was a quick one. We know what the deal is with the Phillies farm system is what I'm saying here, where it's like, all right, you either have like really good prospects or nothing, right? It's like you got the Mick Abels, you got the Andrew Painters, and then other than those guys, I feel like those are the guys we're not willing to give up. Everyone else, people really don't want. It's pretty rough spot to be in, and I think that's where it's like farm system purgatory. You know what I mean? And the Phillies have been risking of mired in that, and for the next few seasons here. Look, my short answer is yes, you need to get one more piece. And I'm surprised neither of you went down this road. It's pitching. I think you need specifically a left-handed pitcher at that. Brad Hand is really filling that role. I don't know how I feel about Jose Alvarado, gentlemen. And I was very high on Jose Alvarado when they first got him, but he did the job against the Nationals. I was biting my fingernails that whole time. Like I have no faith in Jose Alvarado to be your lefty reliever late in the game. He's just a little wild. It's very Jekyll and Hyde out there. So I think you need to get a left-handed pitcher, whether it's starter, whether it's bullpen, a solid lefty on your team, any way you slice it. And then Max, that goes all the way back to my Ranger Suarez point then. If you get a starter, you can move Ranger back in your bullpen to be the left-handed arm. If you get a bullpen guy, well, then that's even better. Figure out, hopefully Ranger can pick it up a little bit in the starting rotation. Here's my thing, though. I'm not willing to do it. Just because I think this team is clicking so well. This entire season, you know what? Most of the entire season last year, I wanted to get rid of Rhys Hoskins. I always want to trade Rhys Hoskins, but I'm just like picturing what that clubhouse looks like after the game. Like this is based off nothing, by the way. I just got to be very clear about that.
Just off imagination.
Don't you get the sense? I feel like just off imagination when they're all, giving high fives and fist bumping. Rhys has to be a popular guy in that clubhouse. You know what I mean? Like he's been here the longest. Sure. I think aside from Odubel, right? Maybe Odubel and Nola. I think Rhys has been here the longest.
Rhys is an OG.
Can't get rid of that. I just think, yeah. So kind of a sub question to you two. I dropped my phone. That was that noise. A sub question to you two: is baseball the most important chemistry sport? Would you say, Mekhi Max?
I would say no. Huh? I would have to disagree.
I think I would put it. Yeah, I think I would put it probably second after basketball.
Yeah.
It's close. It's different. I'm a big believer, and I think you're seeing with Party is like if the guys are getting along, if the clubhouse is getting along, all those baseball cliches about hitting being contagious. Then, if it ain't broke, fix it. And that's what you have with Rhys Hoskins right now. Otherwise, I'd be willing to deal him. But you can't fix something that ain't broken. I don't know why I got myself tongue-tied in that one so much. Whatever. Gents, Phillies, just real quick, 1 to 10. How high are we feeling, Mekhi?
I'm going with it. I'm going with an 8. I'm going with 8. We lost the last 4. We lost 3 games this month. I'm feeling real confident.
I'm at a 9, man. Philly Rob, legend. Early makings of a legend in the red pinstripe.
I'm a 9. Yeah, I'm a 9 too. It's just the utmost confidence. Phillies are a vibes team. The vibes are immaculate. Gentlemen,
vibes are good,
it's over with baseball. For the time being, it is time to revisit the dreaded team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Draft week, boys. We got draft week this week. And it's a weird one. I used to freaking love the NBA, and as the Sixers get better, it's less and less
I mean, yeah,
exciting.
it's any
I had no
draft is
idea the
less
draft was
fun when your
happening
team's
until
good.
this Thursday.
Any draft's less
Right.
fun when your team's good.
Except unless you're the Warriors. Unless you're the Warriors who somehow get top 10 picks and win championships and whatever.
I mean, they were the worst. The Warriors had the worst
Digits,
record
I
in the
know
league in
you.
2019. I wouldn't want to do that
You're
again.
right.
Not fun.
Brilliant, bloody brilliant. Digits, you're the NBA guy right now. All out of the three of us, at least right now. So I'm gonna come to you. Right. First things first. You could take. You know what? You take it however you want and run with it. Thursday comes around. 76ers pick number 23. What are you hoping will happen? What do you think will happen? You know the drill. Take me through it.
Well, let me ask you, because I prepared for both potential trades with 23 and if they were to pick. I got 3 guys I think would be, have a good chance of being available at 23 that I think the Sixers could use as in terms of their fit on the roster. So what are you thinking? What would you like to hear?
I want it both, Digits. I want it both because that's what I was planning on doing too. Give it to me.
Okay, I'll start with the draft picks, the actual potential prospects. So the 3 that I'm looking at are 1, Wendell Moore Jr., who's a small forward from Duke. Jaden Hardy, who is a shooting guard who played in the G League and on the Ignite. They actually just worked him out. I believe it was today. I think I saw the tweet, or maybe it was Friday. And then the third one, this guy's kind of been all over the place in terms of mocks. But Nikola Jovic, who is the foreign guy who sounds exactly like Nikola Jokic and is actually from like almost the same hometown in Serbia. He's supposed to be like a stretch 3-4, good handle, smart player, all that stuff. So Jaden Hardy is a bit of shades of Tyrese Maxey, I guess, in terms of combo guard, kind of, plays with speed. Worse shooter than Maxey is. I actually don't really know if I love the fit of Jaden Hardy here, but I think he's at least a potentially good prospect. Going to Jovic really quick. I just kind of touched on him, but he's a big dude. I think you could play him as a stretch 4 or a backup 5. He's listed as a small forward, but he is 6'10". So I don't know. He could be anywhere from a 3 to a 5, I guess, if you ask me. But he's he's an overall solid game. Like, they kind of, obviously it's an easy comparison to make to Jokic because they're Serbian and all that stuff. But they do kind of have a similar game in terms of being good passers, extremely similar names. I think that he kind of, prospects as a young Jokic, good overall player. I don't necessarily know if this guy would ever end up being back-to-back MVPs, but maybe a little lacking on the outside scoring range. Is the EuroLeague for teams considered the second best league in the world of basketball? I would say yes.
Absolutely. Right?
I would say pretty comfortably yes. I think the G League's trying to challenge that, but I don't think the G League could ever really surpass it because the best teams in these top leagues, they all have experience. They have guys who are battle tested, and if you put the best G League team against the team that comes in first in the EuroLeague, the team in the EuroLeague is going to have dudes who are 28, 30, 32 years old who are in the athletic prime. Who it's just it's going to be really hard to compete against them as a team of 18 to 21 year olds for the most part.
Right.
And lastly, I'll end with Wendell Moore Jr. because I actually think he would be a really great fit for the Sixers, especially with all of the talks that Matisse Thybulle will be on his way out of town. Moore kind of projects as a similar type of player. Like, he is a quintessential 3-and-D guy. He shot 41% at Duke last year from 3, which is really, really good by me. I actually didn't know that. And he actually has a reputation. I was looking at this. I saw this in multiple draft reports, CBS, Bleacher Report, and I believe the third one was ESPN. All 3 of them distinctly mention that he's a great on-ball defender without fouling. Like, for how many steals he gets, he's conversely, his ratio to fouls committed is insanely low for a guy who gets as much defensive usage as he does. I actually really like Wendell Moore as a pick here, and if they keep 23, I think he would be my my hope and my realistic hope. Obviously, if they trade up or if there's some crazy fall of some guy who's projected as a 10 to 15 guy, it's a different story. But for the people who project in that 20 to 25 range, I really like Wendell Moore, and especially assuming that Matisse Thybulle leaves. If for some reason Thibault stays, I think that pick could be a little bit redundant and could kind of stun his growth because they would play essentially the same role on the team. But assuming Thibault leaves, I think he would be an excellent fit in terms of the defensive replacement and could easily be an instant upgrade in terms of what he offers on offense. Because, obviously that's not too much with Thibault. Any thoughts and feedback? Because I know I just talked for like 3 minutes straight.
No, pretty much touched on a bunch of the key players. We lost Josh, so
Josh is gone again. All right, what are you thinking if they keep the pick?
They keep the pick. I'm hoping for EJ Liddell.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping for. He's a 6'7" small forward. He's what is it, like almost a 7-foot wingspan?
I think it's like 6'11" or 7 feet. Yeah.
Yes, he'll fit. He'll fit pretty good. They'll be able with him right there. They'll be able to move Tobias probably to the 3. They could switch with them too. So I feel that that's a good move. That would be the best. Oh, there goes Josh.
He's gone. I'd be surprised if he made it all the way to them. I would be pretty surprised. I usually see him go between like 12 to 16. The CBS one that I have open right in front of me has him at 10. I would be a little surprised to see him. Let me ask you: have you, if they were to trade 23, like what would you be trying to target? I mean, obviously, I assume it would be an upgrade on either Tobias Harris or get rid of Danny Green's money or something like that. But Josh, let's start with you since you're back. If the Sixers are trading out of 23, what's their plan? Who are they going for?
Oh, man. First of all, what the hell's going on here with my internet? I mean, come on. Anyways, Digits, I heard what you had to say. I actually loved it, especially Jalen Hardy. If we're trading this pick, so Digits, this is where I have been I've been stuck with this one, to be honest with you. Look, I think what I wanted to happen at 23 is a trade that at least brings you one step closer to getting Bradley Beal onto this team. I don't really foresee a scenario, however, where I don't think it's possible that the Sixers get Bradley Beal on the team on Thursday. Like, right? Like, that's not really possible. Is it, Digits?
That team is pretty out there.
I mean, it was impossible for the Eagles to get A.J. Brown. Just, we got to have hopes. It may work out some way, somehow.
Listen, man. I like your attitude, Mikhail, but man, I don't see them getting Bradley Beal on Thursday. So Digits, like that's my biggest problem, right? Like, I think I have a desire, but I don't know how to get to it. So what are you saying for trades in terms of Thursday?
I have seen this. I saw this, I think, over the weekend on Twitter that the Sixers are trying to move the 23rd pick with Danny Green to add like essentially like an impact player replacement for him. So I'm assuming that they're targeting someone like who's a wing defender, 3-and-D guy. Two of the names that I've seen, I'll throw 3 names out here. 2 of these guys I'd be really interested in. Kelly Oubre Jr., Josh Hart, and Terrence Ross. Which one of those 3 do you think I don't want?
Terrence Ross.
No, I know you want Terrence Ross. Max, big Terrence Ross lover.
I am a big Terrence Ross guy.
What was the middle name?
Kelly Oubre Jr., Josh Hart, Terrence Ross.
So I'm gonna guess you don't want Kelly Oubre Jr. because people who follow basketball hate Kelly Oubre Jr.
You are correct because he is. I'll say this: if we could get him as in addition to getting a guy like, honestly, Josh Hart would be an incredible grab for 23 and Danny Green. That'd be an incredible grab. That'd be an instant positional upgrade on what Danny Green's minutes were last year with Josh Hart doing the same exact thing. Kelly Oubre is a bit of a black hole in offense. He can go nuclear on scoring, but he takes a lot of shot attempts to get there. And I don't think he's a good enough 3-point shooter to really justify what the role he would be given. I think that at this point, I would say Tobias Harris is a better 3-point shooter than Kelly Oubre is. And I don't really think that he would be like, he would be a fit, but I don't think he'd be I don't think he'd be the answer, I guess is ultimately what I'm getting at here. So for me, the goal is Josh Hart. Like that would be my ideal 23 and Danny Green trade. I'd be cool with Terrence Ross, but I feel like giving up 23 and Danny Green might be a little bit much for him because I think he's on the last year of his contract, I would assume, considering, what I've seen his name floated out there.
Isn't Terrence Ross old? Like, he's got to be old by now, right?
But he's always been a sixth man. He's never played like huge minutes.
Right.
I don't think he has traditional wear and tear like a lot of guys his age.
I'm with you, but that's why I 100% air. I mean, that and Josh Hart's just a little bit better player. The age factor also would give me
age factor. And Josh Hart is a much better defender than Terrence Ross. Terrence Ross I don't think he's like abysmal on defense, but he's certainly nothing special. Josh Hart can guard 1 through 4.5 if you're playing a small ball. If you're playing against a small ball lineup, Josh Hart can probably guard 1 through 5, which would be which obviously any team can benefit from that.
Terrence Ross is 31, by the way.
That's not that old.
Yeah, I was about to say he's way younger than I thought. I thought he was 31 3 years ago.
He's been playing, like I said, he's been playing 6-man minutes for, at least the last 5 or 6 years at this point. I've talked about it a bunch. The Sixers need a guy who can create for themselves and at times kind of go nuclear off the bench. Josh Hart really isn't that, but I think Josh Hart would be an insane addition to the Sixers starting 5. Yep. A Sixers starting 5 of Maxey, Harden, Josh Hart, Harrison, and Embiid would be really, really good. And I think it would be an unquestionable upgrade to when we read the starting 5 last year. It was always those 4. And who's the 5th guy that starts the small 4? Is it Danny Green? Is it Niang? Is it when Seth Curry was here, that was obviously a little bit before Maxey and Harden, obviously, but there was just kind of always that 5th spot in the starting lineup. That second wing guy was always just kind of the unknown, the turntable. And I think getting Josh Hart would just be an incredible addition that would really help solidify perimeter defense as well.
Yeah, and I can see him really, anchoring that bench unit, right? Like an all bench unit plus Josh Hart would really make it, we can.
He kind of did that in Portland last year with how bad the talent he was playing around him was. After Portland lost Lillard and they traded McCollum and they lose Anthony Simons, they lose Nurkic. Like there were games where Portland was playing multiple G League guys in their starting lineup. And Josh Hart is no stranger to playing with bad talent around him after this last year. And I think, getting him around a better quality of player around him could really help him be a better player.
So I love it. I have the consensus trust the process pick at 23 is Josh Hart. Pull a Howie Roseman.
That'd be insane.
Pull a Howie Roseman and essentially draft like a guy who has 3 years of experience, like in Josh Hart. I absolutely love that. One
other name that I saw, but I don't think I would like 23 and Danny Green feels like too much for Chetty Osman to me. But that was a name that I saw floated out there. I would do Danny Green in like a second if we could swing that somehow. Like obviously Danny Green's probably not going to be playing this year after he tore his ACL in the last game of the season or second to last game of the season. But I don't think Chetty Osman's worth a first round pick. And I guess Danny Green's kind of just there for salary purposes. But that was another name I saw and wanted to float out there.
I kind of love that, and I will say I love Chetty Osman. Like Chetty Osman's like a Josh Safran.
He goes off against the Sixers. I think we have a jaded perspective of him because he does go off against the Sixers.
Goes off against the Sixers. Good friends with Dario from their national team days and stuff like that. It's a big Chetty Osman guy. I will say, Digits, you did just say something that I think I kind of cut out right when I would have done this spiel. But you said a first round pick for Chetty Osman, right? And when you say it like that, it sounds bad. But I think when you look at this year's draft, it's not a good year to be picking 23, in my opinion. Like
never is.
My assessment of this year's now if Tyrese Maxey's falling down there or 21 or whatever it is. But my assessment of this year's draft is like the top 10 is good. Like I think the top 3, like those 3 guys are going to be good NBA players. Top 10, you're going to get your talent in there. And after that, it kind of really drops off and you've got a few gems in like the second round. It just seems like a kind of a crummy year to be drafting late in the first. Makai, who'd you say, by the way, while I was having internet issues?
I hope for EJ Liddell for the 23rd pick. But since you was just speaking of the second round gems, my favorite second round gem, Sharif O'Neal.
Oh yeah.
That's my
name value, baby. It always helps.
That's my sleeper second round gem right there, yo. I feel as though if somehow the Sixers can acquire him, he's gonna work perfect. 6'9".
He can take Paul Reed's spot in G League, and Paul Reed can finally stay on the NBA roster the whole year.
That would work too.
Yeah,
6'9" power forward.
I
Yeah.
love where your brain's at though, because look, I am seeing Sharif O'Neal go like 59th at best on mock draft. So as far as like, doing those deep dives, undrafted free agent Sharif O'Neal, that's a fun one. I mean, forget about the name recognition, not a bad game, and got the physicality for it, especially if he wants to play the Paul Reed role. That's what I was thinking. So back to pick number 23, digits. My ideal draft is literally Josh Hart. Insert name here, like get me a veteran, right? Another thing I gotta say, we've kind of forget about Jaden Springer. I will keep tooting the Jaden Springer horn. Think he'll be good. I think he'll be able to play this year. So what I look at is, like, what do you need? What do the Sixers need? And I think an athletic wing is kind of what the Sixers need. And you said it with Wendell Moore, and I'm not against EJ Liddell either, but digits, correct me if I'm wrong here. Going into last college basketball season, wasn't Wendell Moore projecting out to be like a lottery pick? Could be wrong.
I'm not totally sure if I'm being like anything more than that would be conjecture, but I do know that coming into the year, I'm pretty sure he got named to one of the preseason ACC teams. Yeah. So I would imagine that he definitely had some sort of draft buzz last year if he had come out. But yeah, I kind of think that they're going to end up picking. So I'm going to say my dream draft is Wendell Moore Jr. I think he'd be the best, in terms of fit and potential value. And he does have experience and he is a good defender. I think that I think that he could be a good fit should the Sixers take him. But I think Josh Hart would be more ideal in terms of overall, coming out of the draft. Right.
No. Yeah, I'm with you. So I'm going to quickly rattle through some of my names that I like. I like Hardy, man. I didn't like him at first, and then I went through the YouTube tape and just like what is the strengths and weaknesses in YouTube tape. And I'm like, yeah, that's a guy that I would like on the Sixers. And just don't misconstrue what I'm saying here, because like this is a big name that you and I have talked about. But I think he could go put a dent into getting a Jordan Clarkson type, and not in the sense of handles or point guard, in the sense of getting someone off your bench who you're either going to want to kill him or you're going to be like, oh, thank God we have this guy on our team, because he's just going to pull up, he's going to shoot, he'll make it. You know what I mean? Or he won't some nights. And that's just been a killer, especially in the playoffs. And not that Hardy would come in and make an impact in the playoffs, but just such stagnant offense with that second unit where you're dying for that guy to just be like, all right, so I'm going to give them my dribble package, and if I'm hot, I'm hot. If not, I'm not. We saw it with like Bones Highland. That's just the name that comes to mind, who did it against the Sixers last year. So I can see Hardy potentially doing something like that. EJ Liddell, I named. Man, that guy was a stud for Ohio State. He was kind of disappointing when it came to March 2 years in a row. That's a little bit of a concern, but look, I'll go over the big picture in terms of, his college career, as opposed to losing to Oral Roberts. And then, Wendell Moore, digits, you named it, 41% from three, long wingspan, great defender. Those are three guys who I just feel like their floor is pretty high. And I think with this pick at 24 or 23, with the way the team is, that's kind of what you're going for.
You don't need superstars. You have a big three. You have an Embiid. You have a Maxey. You have a Harden. You just need guys that are going to shore up the cracks around them.
Name I did want to throw out there is David Roddy. I freaking love Dave Roddy from Colorado State. Reason I do love him, first and foremost, won me a lot of money last year, boys. I love myself some Mountain West basketball. David Roddy's
you'll always have it.
A big fella. He's a bit portly. Not that he's chubby, but like he's got a big frame. I think you can put a lot of muscle on there. He's just one of those guys that does it all and has a high motor. And he's a second round pick. So that's like a weird, I don't know how they'd get him, but just the guy I want to toss out there. I love the draft, fellas. I think we're going to have a really fun draft this year. So you know what? Main event's done. You guys want to transition into a little draft chatter? I want to talk a little draft. Gents, I always love a good draft, any sport.
Oh, he's gone. All right, go ahead. Who's got the highest potential?
I'm actually going.
Oh,
we're back. Am I back?
Yep, you're back.
Thank
we thought
God.
you were gone for good.
All right. So, gentlemen, what I'm trying to say here is the draft starts at pick number 1, which is very rare. We saw it with the NFL. I think it's fun. Max, I want to come to you first on this one. Number 1 overall pick. Who are you going with? There's a lot of debate here.
I'm gonna take Jabari Smith. That's Jabari Smith. I'm taking him over Chet and Paolo. I feel as though he has there's nothing. There's you have your positive and your negatives, but it's like compared to Chet, you got the weight issue, being able to keep up with all of the actual bigs in the league. Paolo, you got the defensive and offensive issues. It's just like Jabari is more of a well-rounded first round pick. He's more of a I can see him as I'm trying to think of a good draft comparison. Well, another person that went number one. I'm gonna give him a Jaren Jackson Jr. He gives more of a Jaren Jackson Jr. vibe.
That's not bad, honestly. I like that.
So that's number one pick. I'm drafting him.
Number one. You're on the clock. Who you got?
Number one overall. If I'm the Orlando Magic this year, I think I'm agreeing with Mekhi. I think I'm taking Jabari Smith for all intents and purposes. Like they have a super young team. They invested in a point guard last year. I'm pretty sure they are losing Mo Bamba, and I believe Smith plays a lot more like 4/5. Like he could be a small ball 5 a lot better than I believe Paolo Banchero could be. I think that he's a little bit better of a fit for the Magic, although I think I probably favor Banchero a little bit more as when you look back at when both of their careers are over, who will be the better player guy.
I hear you on that. So I guess I kind of thought this would be a bigger debate than it was, but I guess we're all going Jabari Smith. Like as we're talking about it, I'm like, you kind of got to go Jabari Smith here.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense with the way they've drafted and the way they're constructed, I feel like.
So let me toss this out then about Jabari Smith. Do you think he's going to have a little bit trouble playing in the NBA? And I just say that because we haven't seen a guy who's like 6'10", who's like really skilled, translate to the NBA well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say like Ben Simmons because he's obviously not like Ben Simmons, but like he's 6'10", but doesn't really play like a center or like necessarily a power forward. So just
I don't know. Like, he plays like a wing guy. He plays like a 3-and-D guy kind of. But right, obviously he's asked to put the ball more on the floor than in college, and he will be in the NBA, I think.
I mean, with him going to Orlando, I think you got to think Orlando. A lot of their players are like 6'6" and above. They have a
big roster.
They have like a very tall roster. I think he actually would fit better in there with that team, with the way he plays, like compared to if he was to go to a Golden State or a team like that that's like plays more of a smaller ball. I just feel as though the Orlando is like the perfect fit for him and like his size.
Yeah, I think you guys make good points. Mekhi, I think you got me hung up on it ever since you compared him to JJJ. Because, look, I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is a good player and all, but he's not number one overall pick. You know what I mean? Like at least at this point in his career.
Jaren Jackson went 3, and he's gonna, he's gonna be he's gonna have a good career in Memphis. But I mean, it's tough.
Absolutely,
it's tough.
It's tough because you number one overall pick, you think superstar, and now that Jabari Smith can't be, it's just like how many 6'10" skilled players are there? It's Giannis, right? Like, and I don't think any of us are gonna say that Jabari Smith could be Giannis. So it's a tough spot. But look, I'm with you guys. Jabari Smith, I think, is number one overall pick, and I also think I'm usually never the guy who buys into like the measurables. Like Devontae Smith, everyone's like, oh, he's too small. I'm like, who cares? He's awesome. Holmgren's one of those guys where I'm buying into the question marks. Like that guy's a string bean. I picked Memphis to beat him because I thought Jalen Duren could handle him. Duren could handle him. Obviously, Gonzaga lost, but you get what I'm saying. I really do think that's going to be an issue. So across the board, Jabari Smith, number one overall, digits. I kind of agree with you, though. When it's all said and done, when Holmgren is able to figure it out, watch out. That guy is the real deal. Another one, fellas. Oh, my bad. I got it all mixed up. We're going right back. So aside from 1, 2, 3, I know we talked about Sixers and Mekhi. You threw out your Sharif O'Neal there, but digits. Aside from the Sixers, and try not to go not top 3. Who's just a prospect that you've got your eye on and like you're excited, like you want to put your name to this guy? He's going to blow people away in a couple of years. People might be underrating this guy. Digits, do you have one of those?
I actually think EJ Liddell is kind of maybe in that category.
Ooh.
I think that he's kind of gained. It seems like he's kind of gained some traction throughout the last couple of weeks in terms of the mock draft season for NBA, and I think that you did mention that he kind of doesn't have the it factor, and I don't think that's as big as an issue in the NBA, especially early on. I think he's got a pretty solid game. He can play, he can play as like a stretch four in a small ball lineup, but I think he can be, a solid a solid wing player, stand in the corner, be ready to shoot a three at a moment's notice, or try to drive and kick it. Like I think that he's got a good offensive range to him, and I think that if he ended up on a team like I'm trying to think of who could really utilize him around there, like the Spurs, maybe. Like if he ended up on the Spurs, I think he could be, he could evolve quickly, or like maybe not so much the Pelicans because they have a pretty crowded wing with like CJ McCollum and who else is on that team? And Brandon Ingram, obviously. So I'm not really sure about them. I'm trying to think like Portland. I think he could get some instant impact in. Who else picks early? The Knicks do. The Hawk, and maybe not the Hawks so much. I think that he could be a good fit in a lot of teams in that the second half of the lottery. I think that it wouldn't be insane for him to go anywhere from 7 to 14.
Not Digits. Makai, you got I know you already pulled the Sharif O'Neal, but maybe a little closer to the first round. You got another pull here?
I'm pulling Jalen Duren. I feel as though there's not that many centers that's our true big man centers. I feel Jalen Duren brings out the classic center.
Not a Mark Williams guy?
Nah.
Okay.
I just see him. I just see him as a true center coming out. He's gonna be like a more of a I don't want to say Dwight Howard, but like a center.
I don't think that's a bad comparison in terms of how they play.
Dwight
Howard was a really, really good player, but I think in terms of style of game, I can totally see it. He's got a pretty nice defensive, he's a big shot blocker. He can go up and grab alley-oops out of the sky. I don't think Dwight Howard's the worst comparison.
Oh, well then I guess we're gonna go with the Dwight Howard comparison. I didn't want to touch too close on it because Dwight Howard
Dwight Howard a pretty nice offensive game coming out of high school. He had all the jump hook stuff down around the rim. I'm not really sure if Duren has that. I think Duren is more if he's not able to get the ball, dunk it or a put back layup. I think that's about as much as his range shows right now. But I don't know. I think that in terms of how he plays on around the rim, I can see his Dwight Howard comparison.
So yeah, that's my pull. I'm going Jalen Duren.
Okay, I like it. Let's see if Josh comes back. 5, 4. Hey, there he is. Don't even need the full 5 seconds.
All right.
Let's finish this out before your internet dies completely.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
Wow.
You're down bad tonight, Josh.
What's going on? College. Oh God, come on. So let me finish my point about Johnny Davis. Are we back?
Yeah,
barely.
Golly,
it's a struggle, but you're here.
All right, so real quick, Johnny Davis. He was maybe the best scoring guard in this entire class. But of course, the big knock on him is he can't shoot the three that well. I'm not buying it. He shot 31% this last season and 38%, something like that, the season before. So clearly he can do it, just not at a ridiculous clip. He got 8 rebounds per game. Also, I see this guy being a mid tens, maybe right before the 10, kind of almost like a Tyrese Halliburton pick, not in play style, but just as that kind of take a chance on me guard who really rises to his potential. So I'm excited to see Johnny Davis. I think if he can get a 3 going, he's got a career made in the NBA. Finally, moving on, I can frickin' talk. Steph Curry won another finals, gentlemen. This is if we're talking about sports this week, we have to talk about Steph Curry's legacy, or at least that is my 2 cents. Digits Makai, when Steph Curry's career is all said and done, where do you think he will rank among the greatest? When we are talking to our grandkids about how when I was a kid, or back in my day, that they used to play real basketball. Let me tell you about a guy named Steph Curry. Makai, where do you think he'll be ranking? And I don't need a finite number, but man, what's this guy's legacy?
I'm definitely putting him at top 10 top 10 players of all time.
Let's go.
He has to. He's definitely top 10. Now, what part of the top 10, bottom 5 or top 5? I'm gonna still keep him in the bottom 5 for now, because it's just too many players. It's too many players that's in that top 5 that I can't put Curry over yet. So yeah, he's definitely towards like the 6, 7, or 8 category between those three.
Digits, your guy Ethan Broseph says it's an undisputable top 10. Would you agree?
I think it would be a hard to dispute, but I think you could definitely argue that he's marginally outside the top 10. I'm not going to do that. I think Steph Curry is top 10. I think he's probably right around 10 right now. I do think that, if you're going to look at it objectively, winning 3 finals without getting an MVP and letting Andre Iguodala win one over you is definitely not great for the overall career trajectory. But when you think about how damaging Steph's game has been, not in terms of like how it's damaged the game, but like how quickly he can just destroy an opponent by himself. He comes down the court in 3 times in a minute and hits a 3 all 3 of those times. That's a completely different game in just an instant. And he's the best finisher from outside of the 3-point arc the game has ever seen. His shot is as pure gets. And by the time that he's done, he's going to own every 3-point record so hard. It's going to be talked about as how unbreakable are these records. Like, we're going to have that debate about a modern era player when he retires. Steph Curry is already number 1 in every meaningful 3-point category there is. And you have to imagine at this point, he's got at least 3 to 5 more high efficiency, high usage years left in him. Dude keeps himself in really good shape. If anything, he's only gotten better with age in terms of like, he's gotten a lot better as a defender. If you watch the finals this year, the Steph Curry that got switched on to every single time from 2016 to 2018, he's long gone. Steph Curry was holding his own one-on-one against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart. He's still not an elite defender by any means, but the things that really kept him outside of the true upper echelon conversations for so long, lack of individual defense and lack of individual accolade in the postseason, both of those things got kind of stamped out this year. And I think this year will always be the how we think about LeBron in 2016, I guess, kind of 2012 as well for LeBron. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people think of LeBron's best year as 2016, unquestionably. That's what this year is going to be for Steph. I think it's going to be really, really hard for him to ever top this year from an individual perspective. It's possible that he does, but I think that in terms of everything he accomplished this year and the way that the team was built around him and the fact that he wasn't getting hidden on defense. He was the one taking big shots on offense. Like, nobody bailed out the Warriors besides Steph Curry this year. There was no Klay Thompson game. Jordan Poole had a good first round, but didn't really do much in the 3 rounds after that. This was Steph Curry's playoffs through and through. I think that this conversation puts him at least comfortably on the fringe of top 10 all time. And I think by the time that he's done in a handful of years, it's going to be really hard to argue against the sheer statistics that he's put up.
Listen, you talk about Steph Curry all day. I love Steph Curry. I mean, yeah, you said it, Digits. The Steph Curry's legacy is he's a top 2 player of the last 20 years. Like, and that sounds very silly, but it's like, in the simplest form, like, we can talk all day about Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, and it's like, man, it gets tough. I know in my lifetime, he is a top 2 player. The only other one, obviously, James. I think for me, Curry's legacy is he gave me and
oh man, this is terrible.
Yeah,
like representative of many other people.
Okay, Max, let me ask you a question.
Hit me.
All right. Would you put Steph Curry over Magic Johnson yet?
I don't think so. I think Magic Johnson's probably still the only point guard in NBA history that's definitively ahead of him. Magic did it all, man. From year one, the dude came in and was a superstar, won Finals MVPs, and I know that he played with a lot better teams than Steph Curry did early on, but Magic did do Magic's influence and importance to those teams cannot be understated. They took a huge leap with him. So we both have Steph Curry top 10-ish right now, definitely top 10 by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'm putting him in the top 10.
Okay. Let me ask you about this. Just finals recap here. Like, what stuck out to you in general? I know obviously, the last game Draymond Green played his best game of the playoffs. Like, was that the big factor for you? Do you think it was the Celtics? Did the Celtics lose the series? Like, just give me your closing NBA Finals 2022 remarks.
Okay, so it was 3 key points in this finals. The Andrew Wiggins played very well. That's number one. And Andrew Wiggins performed. He performed as a former first round draft, top 3 draft pick. He won number 1, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He performed as a first pick. Number 2 was Jason Tatum melted down. He did not play as well as he did throughout the rest of the playoffs. And number 3 was just Steph Curry. It was even though that
That's all you gotta say.
Even though that one game he played bad, he bounced back and just finished.
Every other game, he was the reason the Warriors won, pretty much.
Yeah, those are basically the 3 points for the Warriors win that finals.
Yeah, I agree. I would say the one other thing, and I said this a couple of weeks ago when we made predictions for this series, the Celtics' grueling playoff run just finally caught up to them. Going 7 games back to back against Milwaukee, and then against Miami when the Warriors were comfortably in the finals with like a week to rest, watching the second half of the Boston Miami series. I think the Celtics they got gassed, and I think that really showed. Especially like if you watch the second half of Game 6, the Celtics just they looked like they didn't have their legs anymore. I think was really kind of the overall takeaway that I'm going to remember is that the Celtics came out swinging and they were gassed by the end of it. They couldn't run with the Warriors. They couldn't defend one-on-one. They couldn't get think about how many times Jason Tatum got his shot like very altered or just straight up blocked by somebody in Game 6, especially in the second half. I think those are the big takeaways here for sure.
But I do want to give a shout out to Al Horford. He played this hard out that game, this series. I definitely got to give a shout out. He played
well all playoffs. I'm more convinced than ever that he was just a double agent because he was. I just didn't see that in Philadelphia, and I understand that the team around him in Boston, in terms of his role and where he operates from, was more suited to his needs. But we tried to suit Al Horford's needs plenty of times, and it
didn't work out at Philly.
It just did not work.
Well, welcome back, Josh.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't do anything here, gents.
Bring us home, Captain.
Somehow, some way, maybe I'll manage. I'm exhausted just from the sheer mental anguish of internet. Fellas, we got tap out time. I'll just start out with my tap out. I had something earlier, forget it now. Listen, Wi-Fi has come a long way. It is 2022. Just a reminder, it's always nice to have an Ethernet cable lying around, which clearly I do not. I will be going to a tech store or Amazon in the next couple of days and making a purchase because, golly, am I frustrated. Digits? Makai, either of you got anything?
I got something. I got something stupid and easy.
Let's do it.
This is once again your maybe once or twice a year reminder for me to invest in your bed, your pillows, your sheets, and all that stuff. You spend a third of your life there. I got me some brand new like cooling bamboo sheets off Amazon, and they got here on Saturday, and I've just been sleeping like a rock the last 2 nights. So this is just another friendly PSA from me to everybody out there. Take care of your bedding situation. You spend so much of your time there. It's how you start every single day. You wake up in your bed. That's the first thing you do underneath your conscious mind every single day. Make sure that your bed is well situated. Make sure it's comfortable. Make sure your springs aren't beat to shit. Make sure your bed's well set up, and you'll never regret it.
Well, I don't have
anything.
Let's have a good draft on Thursday.
Let's have a good draft on Thursday. Maybe this is our last show without Josh Hart as a Philadelphia 76er. That'd be ideal.
You got anything, Josh?
Josh, you want me to take us out?
I am bumping in and out. Yes, take us out. I was just about to say take us out. I can't do it. I just don't trust myself.
All right, I got you. As always, thanks everybody for tuning in to Trust the Process Live. If you miss us live or don't want to watch us on video, check us out wherever you find your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Anchor, any podcast medium, we're probably there. And if not, let us know when we'll get there. As always, we are brought to you by My New Philly, where something is always new and everything is always Philly. Philly, thanks so much for joining with us tonight on this lovely Monday. The Phillies are about to be on in what actually, well, right now, 8:05. They're in the big state of Texas. So everybody have a great night. Josh,
they play tomorrow, man. No Phillies.
Oh, are you
tonight.
serious?
They play tomorrow.
Oh no,
that's the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling.
Oh no, I blew it. All right, that's on me.
You gotta watch the Stanley Cup like an idiot.
I'm gonna watch the Stanley Cup. It's not on yet. All right, take us out. Give me the credits.